Hey folks, Ray from DCRaymaker.com. I've got here Garmin's newest running watch, the Forerunner 35. So this watch builds on the Forerunner 10, Forerunner 15, Forerunner 25 watches that have come out over the last few years here. And it's designed to be sort of their budget-minded GPS watch. Except the main difference though is that now instead of being that $129 to $139 price point, it's actually $199. So it's a bit more expensive than we've seen in the past. And so I'm not really sure how well that's going to resonate with this particular crowd, but nonetheless, we're going to go and give it a walkthrough. So what we see on the back here is this optical heart rate sensor, and this is likely why we have this kind of big price jump right now, is that we've got this optical heart rate sensor, whereas in the past you did not have an optical heart rate sensor. You had to buy a heart rate strap on the side if you wanted heart rate. So this optical sensor will not only do 24/7 heart rate, but also heart rate during exercise while you're working out and give you that feedback back. So back on the front of the screen here, we've got the time up here, we have the day, and the bar at the bottom of the bar there is our inactivity bar. So basically you get these 4 little chunks that'll fill up over the course of an hour, which means that you haven't done anything, you're lazy or whatnot. So you basically want to clear this bar by walking about 100 meters or so, and I'll go ahead and get rid of that. So diving into the menus first, you can see I've got history here. This watch is brand new, so it's not going to have anything on it yet. I've got the ability to set a time alarm there. I can add these alarms, set repeating, and so on. So I can set the time for 12 hours p.m., and that's pretty much it. It doesn't look like I can set it for certain days of the week, for example. Okay, there we go. So days of the week for daily, weekdays, weekends, and so on. So I'll let that set there for that and leave that for someone else down the road. Go ahead and click back off, and then do not disturb mode. So this allows me to silence alerts, particularly smartphone notifications, coming to the unit itself as opposed to using that same feature on my smartphone. Into the settings here, we've got our Bluetooth settings. This is for connecting to your smartphone. It's not for connecting to Bluetooth smart sensors. The watch will only do the ANT+ heart rate strap there, so just keep in mind this is purely for phones. So watch face allows me to change it to either digital or analog watch face, so I'll do that and we'll go look at it later on. Going down, we have activity tracking here. I can turn that off, so that's talking for steps, distance, calories as you're walking around. I can also change my alert goals and whether or not those are on or off. So your actual move target for the day is dynamically done based on how much you've done the day before, so kind of like ebbs and flows based on that. So that's something to keep in mind. Go ahead and down into sensors here. I can add a sensor, so I can save those in this list here. Go ahead and go back. And that's if you want a little more accuracy potentially compared to the optical heart rate strap. And then we've got the user profile information. That's just kind of weight and gender and stuff. And head on down a little more. System here, language, kind of all the basics you'd expect. Sounds, you can turn them on and off for different types of sounds. And then down into units for changing, for example, kilometers to miles and so on. So nothing really surprising. This kind of very basic features there. We'll back a little more. Now that's pretty much the total of the menu for settings. So now here's that analog watch face that we talked about. Remember you saw that I changed that a bit earlier. So I'm going to go down to the running mode, which is this button up here. So press that, and now I've got my different choices. So run outdoors is going to use GPS. Run indoors is going to use the accelerometer inside the watch to go ahead and give me pace and distance. Biking, if I'm biking, quite simply. Cardio is for gym kind of workouts. Typically, it's going to be GPS off based, and it's going to focus on more movement. Going down, we have walking. This allows, again, for using the GPS for outdoors, but just simply more of a categorization. Really, there's no technical difference between running and GPS. It's purely a categorization sort of thing. And back to run outdoors. So those are my few modes here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this now, and it's going to start finding GPS, which you see that little arrow or little status bar there, and then the heart rate is blinking, which means that it's looking for my heart rate. So that's the heart rate on the back. You can kind of barely see those green lights. It's a bit tough, I understand. Let me go a little closer, I better see it. So there you can see it right now, just on there, and this will take my heart rate, and if I can actually hold my finger over it, it'll usually do it, and it'll stop blinking once it's ready to go. Then next, I'm going to go ahead down into the options here and show you what we have. So the run mode is already just changing what we already talked about, but we can also add in, for example, the ability to go change different types of runs. So free run just means it's going to run itself. That's a move alert popping up, by the way, for coming up in the hour here for not moving too much. Run walk will give me alerts. So you can run for a certain time, and then you can walk for a certain time. And some people use this in marathon training plans in particular to pace themselves a little better. Speaking of pacing, you have the virtual pacer. So you can set this at a certain pace, so 9 minutes, 15 seconds, to go and keep you paced as you're running. It's not quite virtual partner. They're actually slightly different, so do keep that in mind. intervals here. So you've got basically the work portion up there, the rest right there, and that's the different run modes. Alerts here, we can add distance, time, calorie, and heart rate alerts. If I just go down to a distance alert, for example, I can turn that on, and you can see the different distance. Honestly, if you run a marathon and aren't aware of that, then yeah. So data fields, you can change your data fields. So the top one is, I got 3 data fields per page and 2 pages, as you just saw there. So I can go change this to these different data fields. I can say I'm going to do, I don't know, distance there. I'm going to change this from time to pace, and change this next one from pace to, I'll go back to heart rate. How's that? No, heart rate's don't have to work then. And so there we go, and we can do the same thing down here for the next one. I can change this, and it's nice because it's pretty customizable. Sometimes in the past, Garmin's restricted what you could do on the different data fields on the lower end watches, but it looks like I can pretty much choose anything I want here, and there's no issues with that, which is good. So back, auto pause. This is simply if you want the watch to pause when you stop running automatically, and restart again when you go. Laps, auto lap is on for every mile right now, or I can turn that off and go ahead and do manual lap using the lap key, which is right there. Pace and speed. So pace and speed is if you're cycling, you would use speed as opposed to pace. So miles per hour, kilometers per hour, whereas running is pace, you know, minutes a mile, and so on. And then that's it. That's it for options. So at this point, I will click start. It's going to go ahead and count up here for a couple seconds, and then you'll see that I've got my distance, pace, and zone screen, and then you'll see I've got my distance, pace, and zone screen, and then if I go down, I get the same information about what these metrics are before I click on, and then I've got the time screen as well on there, so the time and the date and so on. If I click stop, I can go and pause right now, so it's not recording anymore, but it's not ended. And I can save, I can resume or discard that. I've burned 1 whole calorie talking during that, which is awesome. Activity saved, and that's it. So again, folks, that's just a quick look at the Garmin Forerunner 35 here. It's $200. It should be available, my understanding is later towards the end of this month in September. And it's definitely something I'll probably try to do some sort of review on once it starts shipping. You know, I think at this price point, it's really going to compete against something like the Fitbit Blaze, which doesn't have GPS, but it has a bit of a prettier screen. So this has more or less the same technical functions. But honestly, the Vivo Active HR, which is Garmin's own watch that sits $50 more at $250, is just a crap ton more capable watch than this is. It looks prettier, it's got way more features, way better integration with things, got Connect IQ support, for example, for apps, and so that's why I think this may be a little bit awkwardly priced at $199. I would have thought like $149, maybe $169 would have made sense, whereas $199 seems a bit out of place to me. So with that, thanks for watching. Definitely go ahead and hit the like button down below as well as the subscribe button. That gets you all the latest sports technology goodness. Also, don't forget the unboxing video of this. You'll see that in the upper links there, and then down below in the description field, you'll find a link to my kind of post on the whole watch itself. Thanks for watching.